If you want a bunch of attention all at once, launch a Kickstarter. Sure, people don't just show up at random. You have to make a great product and do a lot of marketing before you launch. But Kickstarter, Indiegogo, Gamefound, and all the others, they make it much easier to get discovered, and as a result, make a ton of money. But of course, campaigns end, cards get charged, you start manufacturing, ultimately, products get shipped out. And then what? Is that it? No, Kickstarter is a great way to build a long-term business. But if you want to do that, you need to plan your transition to a more long-term business model early on. In this video, we'll share some tips on how you can successfully transition from a crowdfunding campaign to a thriving e-commerce business. My name is Brandon, here on behalf of Fulfillrite. If you need help shipping your orders, go to fulfillrite.com and request a quote. We ship thousands of Kickstarters and we're happy to help you ship yours too. The quote doesn't cost a thing, so if nothing else, you get some good information about pricing. Link in the description. But enough self-promotion. Let's talk about making the jump from Kickstarter to e-commerce. There are 4 big steps to this process, and I'll break these down over the course of this video. They are: 1. Ship your campaign successfully. 2. Build your store. 3. Build your marketing infrastructure. And 4. Choose the right time to transition to e-commerce. Now, with all that in mind, let's talk about how you can ship your campaign successfully. If you want to go from having a successfully funded Kickstarter campaign to the world of e-commerce, there's one thing you absolutely have to do right, and that is ship your existing campaign's rewards. In the nearly 15 years that Kickstarter has been around, it's become a cultural norm for backers to receive their rewards before anyone else has a chance to buy them elsewhere. And if you think about it, it makes perfect sense. After all, they essentially pre-ordered and were the very first to have faith in your ideas. Of course, if you fail to ship these rewards, your odds of establishing a positive reputation in the long run go down by quite a bit. Your backers could be your most loyal, die-hard, lifetime fans, but only if you keep them happy. Now, to that end, you'll want to make sure that your product matches the quality and specifications promised in your campaign. Do anything less, and your e-commerce store sales will be hobbled from day one. So make sure the final product does justice to the prototype shown during the campaign. Another thing you'll want to consider is that you'll inevitably learn things as you start manufacturing. You may need to make some tweaks here and there, and you'll want to keep an open line of communication with your manufacturers. That way, you can fix issues as they arise, and also make sure that product 2.0 is better than the first batch. All the while, you'll need to keep your backers in the loop. You'll want to publish regular updates and keep people informed about shipping times and delays. And as backers start receiving the product, actively seek feedback. Their insights will be invaluable for refining the product, addressing any teething issues, and improving your future batches. Now, you might even be able to implement some of their changes before you launch your e-commerce store. But of course, if you want to get into e-commerce, you're going to need to build your store. Now, fulfilling a Kickstarter is a lot of work, but there's also a lot of downtime. Your manufacturer will probably need a substantial amount of time to produce the item. Your freight shipper, especially if they ship by sea from somewhere far away like China, will probably need weeks too. This gives you a great chance to start building your brand's primary home online. During this time, you'll want to choose the right e-commerce platform. There are a ton of good options like Shopify, WooCommerce, and Squarespace. They all have their own pros and cons, and you'll need to think about factors like ease of use, integration options, and scalability. When in doubt, go with Shopify. It's relatively inexpensive and easy to use, and there's a big community of people who can help you if something goes wrong when you're building or running your store. If you haven't given much thought to branding yet, it's a good time to do that. You'll want a consistent look and feel on your site and across products. This isn't just about color schemes and logos, though those are important. You'll want to think about the kind of feeling you want people to associate with your brand, and make sure that everything from packaging to fonts reinforces that core idea. Also, make sure that your site overall looks professional. Invest in high quality images that show off your product. Make product descriptions nice and detailed, and make sure that the site is fast, works well on mobile devices, and is generally pleasant to use. Your online store is an extension of your brand, so make sure that it's got a consistent look and feel. We're not just talking about color schemes and logos here, we're talking about user experience, site speed, and mobile responsiveness. business. Bonus points if you're able to add video demonstrations of your product. On balance, shipping is a pretty contentious point for a lot of e-commerce shops, so save yourself some time here and really get the details right. You want to make sure that people have a clear idea of how long shipping is going to take and how much it's going to cost before they add the item to their cart. When it comes to returns, make sure you have a clear, fair, highly visible exchange policy. The easier it is to exchange items, the more likely people are to make a purchase. People do check these policies. So last but not least, make sure that customers can reach you easily if they need to. It can be through chatbots, email, phone, but no matter what, make sure you've got fast customer service because that makes people feel like you really care. And that leads to customer retention, which is where the real money is made. All that said, you've got to get people to your store in the first place, and in order to do that, you will need to build your marketing infrastructure. As it turns out, you don't just have to launch a Kickstarter, wait a few months, and then try to get a new round of people in your store. You can keep sales going well after the campaign through a pledge manager like BackerKit or CrowdOx. So for starters, if you plan to transition to e-commerce, plan to use a pledge manager too. These tools will make it easier to do a lot of things, not the least of which is going to be collecting mailing addresses, upselling and cross-selling, and most importantly, sending out those detailed surveys during which you can very easily ask people for their email addresses. Email addresses are really important. A large, well-managed email list is one of the best ways to make sales on an ongoing basis. So make sure you put a lot of time into thoughtful email marketing. Think about how you can give people reasons to subscribe and stay subscribed. On the more technical side, while you're building your e-commerce store, but before you launch it, make sure that you have analytics set up on it as well. Google Analytics will do the trick. You don't need anything fancy, and Google Analytics is free. The main thing you want to do is just figure out how people are finding your site and what is causing them to purchase or fail to make a purchase. Once you have basic email and website analytics set up, you will also want to probably experiment with advertising as well. Don't jump headfirst into expensive ad campaigns. You don't need to do that. Just test first. Use platforms like Facebook or Google Ads to run some small campaigns, watch their performance, and as you do this, you'll identify which messages and visuals resonate best with your audience. If you're looking for more organic reach, consider some influencer marketing. This can provide a massive boost, especially for new brands. Identify influencers in your niche and prepare to send them samples. And remember, sending out product samples to reviewers, that is the oldest form of influencer marketing out there, and it works in very nearly any industry. Lastly, depending on your product, social media could be invaluable. Platforms like Instagram and Pinterest can be especially powerful for visually appealing products. So if you have a product that lends itself well to social media marketing, make an effort to post consistently on those platforms, engage with your followers, and use it as a platform to showcase your products in real life situations. At this point, once you ship rewards, set up your store, and build your marketing infrastructure, there's only one thing left to do. Choose the right time to transition to e-commerce. Timing is everything. You don't want to launch your store before you fulfill your existing campaign obligations, but if you wait too much longer, you could lose your momentum. It's kind of tricky. What you should do is start with a soft launch. That is, launch your store, do it quietly and without a whole lot of fanfare. This will help you identify glitches or issues before you release it to a larger audience. Your initial customers will give you feedback, and you can use that to refine and improve. Once you follow through on that, then you go big. Announce your official launch. Support it with some well-planned ads, email campaigns, and other promotional activities. Treat it like another Kickstarter launch. And there you have it. By following these 4 steps, you can do like many entrepreneurs before you and seamlessly move from Kickstarter to e-commerce and beyond. Your campaign doesn't have to be a flash in the pan. With a little bit of foresight, you can use that huge rush of attention that comes with launching a Kickstarter to build a lasting business for the ages. My name is Brandon, here on behalf of Fulfillrite. If you need help shipping your orders, go to fulfillrite.com and request a quote. We've shipped thousands of Kickstarters before, and we're happy to help you ship yours as well. The quote doesn't cost a thing, so if nothing else, you get some useful information about pricing. Link is in the description. If you enjoyed this video, please take a moment to like and subscribe. Don't forget to slap some postage on that bell so we can express ship new videos to you as soon as they drop. Just like that. And last but not least, if you have any questions, leave a comment below. I will personally answer as many of them as I can. Thanks for watching.